What if the story you were told about gold was only the surface of something far older, far darker, and far more engineered than anyone admits? What if the real history of gold, the metal every empire worshipped, was less about beauty and more about control? Every coin, every bar, every vault, all part of a hidden system designed to protect the powerful while everyone else is left chasing scraps. And here's the twist that stings. That same system is still shaping your life today. Your rent, your groceries, your debt, your shrinking savings, all of it still chained to a metal kings died for. Before we dive in, where are you watching from? Check in because this community is growing fast and we look out for each other. Tap subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth that most people will never hear. Now let me take you back. Long before dollars, pounds, yen, or digital tokens, gold was the universal language of power. Egypt used it to build dynasties that lasted 3,000 years. Rome used it to command half the world. China hoarded it to stabilize dynasties through endless cycles of rise and collapse. And every time gold concentrated in one place, so did control, influence, and the ability to shape the fate of millions. Sound familiar? Because even today, when we pretend to live in a modern monetary world of digital numbers and central bank promises, the same quiet rule applies. Whoever controls the gold controls the story. Whoever controls the story controls the people. Look at ancient Egypt. Gold wasn't just mined, it was monopolized. Pharaohs declared it divine, only they could own it in bulk, only they could distribute it, only they could decide who deserved access. That monopoly wasn't spiritual, it was strategic. Gold gave them a locked grip on loyalty. If someone rebelled, they weren't just punished, they were cut off from wealth itself. Sound familiar? Rome took the same blueprint, polished it, and made it global. They spread a gold-backed coin called the aureus. It didn't matter what country Rome conquered. Once the aureus entered your economy, Rome controlled your economy. Traders, soldiers, merchants, all became dependent on the empire's supply. It was economic colonization wrapped in shiny metal. Sound familiar yet? Even China, which prided itself on long-term thinking, built entire dynasties around gold reserves. When gold stockpiles grew, the empire thrived. When they shrank, rebellions exploded. The Mongols, the Ming, the Qing, they all fought not just for territory but for gold mines, trade routes and bullion flows. Control the metal and you control the mandate of heaven. And that exact ancient mindset is still alive in modern central banks. The suits just replaced thrones, vaults replaced temples, policies replaced decrees. But the mechanism, the leverage, the intention, it hasn't changed. Here's where the story turns. In every empire there was always a moment, usually hidden, where gold wasn't just treasure, it became a shield, a firewall the elites used to protect themselves when everything else collapsed. During Rome's crises, senators quietly smuggled gold out before the public even realized the currency was failing. During China's dynastic implosions, aristocrats secured their gold in remote fortresses while peasants starved. During Europe's medieval banking disasters, the wealthy converted their assets into gold and fled while everyone else was left holding worthless promises. And this is where the parallels get too sharp to ignore. Today, while the public is told gold is outdated, central banks are buying more gold than at any time in the last 55 years, over 1,000 metric tons added in a single year. But you are told to trust paper. You are told digital money is the future. You are told inflation will cool someday. Meanwhile, the same playbook empires used for thousands of years is unfolding again right beneath your nose. This is where the deeper truth begins. The twist hidden under the entire history of gold. Empires didn't just protect wealth with gold, they weaponized it. They built secret systems to trade it, hide it, and guarantee their own survival when everything else burned. Some of these systems were physical, others were diplomatic. But one of them, the most powerful of all, became the blueprint for the 21st century. And this is the part they never want you to learn. There was a mechanism, a financial tunnel built in the medieval period, perfected in the 1800s, expanded through world wars, and still operating today. A mechanism that allowed entire governments, kings, and banking families to move gold without ever letting the public know. A mechanism that explains how empires survived collapses that should have wiped them out. This mechanism is the silent backbone of global power, and every empire used it, from the Ottomans to the British to the United States. And the truth is, it still runs the show. The shocking part is that it wasn't built for you. It wasn't built for stability. It was built to shield elites from the consequences of their own decisions, leaving everyone else to absorb the damage. And once you see how this works, you'll never see history the same way again, because the entire story of gold leads to one unavoidable revelation. One mechanism that ties ancient empires to modern central banks. One system that proves wealth has always been protected for the few, not the many. And we're about to dive straight into it. You are not ready for the name of the mechanism that made this possible. The receipt is wilder than you think. Have you ever wondered how empires really work? Not the stories you read in history books about kings and conquests, but the hidden machinery that keeps them running. It all comes down to a mechanism so powerful, so secretive, that it changed everything. While citizens fought over crumbs, Empires were quietly perfecting hidden gold clearing networks. These were secret channels where gold could move across borders, across oceans, and through collapsing regimes, all without ever touching public markets or being recorded in official histories. These channels later evolved into the invisible machinery we now call off-ledger gold settlement, a system so carefully protected that even most bankers know nothing about it. When medieval kings ran out of money, these networks kept their armies alive. When European empires burned through their treasuries trying to control colonies, these networks refilled their vaults overnight. Anyone on the inside survived. Anyone on the outside became history. Yuan Ti believed the name of the system that modern governments built on top of these old networks. It morphed into something called the unallocated gold market. And here's the twist. In this system, the gold that is bought and traded doesn't even have to exist. It is promised, not verified. Booked, not seen. Sold, not real. A financial illusion with very real-world consequences. And now the story gets dangerous. Because this unallocated structure sits at the very heart of the London gold market, the world's largest hub, responsible for over 70% of global gold clearing. Every day, up to $200 billion worth of gold trades hands on paper, even though only a tiny fraction of that metal physically moves. It's leverage on top of leverage, a pyramid built on trust, secrecy, and the assumption that no one will ever demand full delivery. This is the exact type of system ancient empires used in the shadows. Rome did it with shaved coins. China did it with gold ledgers that listed more bullion than they physically held. Europe used it to fund wars without telling the public they were technically bankrupt. But today, the scale is so much bigger that emperors from the past would faint. This is where the numbers start to reveal the truth. In 1933, the United States confiscated private gold and revalued it from $20.67 to $35 per ounce. That single act secretly transferred billions of dollars of purchasing power away from citizens and directly into the government's balance sheet, a moral hazard hidden under patriotic messaging. Greed disguised as stability. Then in 1971, the US closed the gold window entirely. Nixon promised it was temporary. The world entered a new era of floating currencies. Most people thought gold no longer mattered. But if that were true, why did central banks hold over 34,000 tons of it? Why did they build deeper vaults? Why did they expand security protocols instead of shrinking them? Because gold is not outdated. Gold is the backstop, the silent insurance policy, the private shield of governments who publicly push digital money while quietly stacking bullion for themselves. Now let's go deeper into the modern illusion. The unallocated gold market creates a strange reality. For every ounce of gold that exists, up to 50 ounces can be claimed on paper. That ratio is not speculation. It is baked into the structure. Banks and brokers sell claims on gold they do not physically possess, operating on the hope that everyone will not ask for delivery at the same time. It's a ticking bomb dressed as a market. Think about that for a moment. If a vault holds 1,000 ounces, but 50,000 ounces have been sold in promises, what happens when even 10% of people ask for their share? Forced settlement, cash payouts, closed doors, and a rush for real metal that exposes the illusion instantly. This is parasitic finance at its peak, a system feeding on perception rather than reality. An engineered collapse just waiting for a spark. Look at China's current gold accumulation. Over 2,200 tons officially reported, but analysts estimate the true figure could exceed 4,500 tons. Russia has over 2,300 tons. Turkey has doubled its gold reserves in the past decade. Central banks worldwide purchased more gold in 2022 and 2023 than in any year since 1967. The pattern is clear. The people who run the system do not trust the system. They are preparing for something. Remember the ancient rule. When gold moves quietly into the hands of elites, storms are coming. Now let me take you into the mechanism's darkest feature. The thing that makes this era even more fragile than ancient Rome or dynastic China. Leverage. Modern gold markets can be leveraged 20 to 1, sometimes 50 to 1. And in extreme cases, over 100 to 1. That means for every single ounce of physical metal, 100 imaginary claims can be created. This is why daily gold trading volumes exceed $200 billion, even though global gold mining only produces about $200 billion worth of metal per year. It's not a market, it's a theater that works only as long as no one pulls back the curtain. And here is where the stakes get terrifying. If a major country demanded physical settlement on all its gold contracts, the entire system would crack, the illusion would vanish, vaults would empty, prices would empty, paper claims would crumble. The ripple effects would hit currencies, stock markets, debt markets, and even geopolitics. Because gold doesn't exist in isolation. It's the foundation holding the entire monetary house upright. Imagine a sudden shortage. Imagine the price of gold jumping from $2,000 per ounce to $10,000 or even $20,000 as physical demand overwhelms paper supply. Imagine central banks scrambling. Imagine governments quietly restricting gold withdrawals just like they did in 1933. Imagine the public realizing too late that the system they trusted was built on borrowed time. This is the danger no one talks about. The danger every empire faced, from Babylon to Britain. History shows that gold systems always collapse when paper promises exceed physical reality. Always, and we are deeper into that imbalance today than any empire in history. So what does this mean for you? It means the story of gold is not about jewelry or treasure. It is about survival. It's about understanding what the powerful use to protect themselves when everything else fails. It's about recognizing patterns that repeat so precisely they might as well be scripted. Gold is the reset button, the tool empires use when their own illusions crack, the one form of wealth they protect for themselves even while they tell the public it's outdated and the lesson is chilling. Every empire that ignored this truth fell. Every empire that abused its gold system collapsed from within. Every society that trusted paper more than metal paid the price when the reckoning came. Now we stand in a world where digital money moves at the speed of light, debt balloons faster than nations can count, and financial shocks spread globally in seconds. The next collapse, whenever it comes, will be faster, sharper, and more unforgiving than anything in the past. So here is the final warning. Do not assume modern systems are smarter than ancient ones. Do not assume digital confidence is stronger than physical reality. Do not assume governments will protect you before they protect themselves. The history of gold tells one clear story. When pressure rises, elites secure metal. Everyone else gets promises. Before we close, ask yourself something. Are we wiser now, or are we just walking the same path in better suits? If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who still believes the official story. And subscribe, because the truth is getting harder to find and easier to hide.